And yesterday, the end of the session, we had one question. So where is the notes? Yesterday's notes. What is the difference between two different ways of saving this? Isn't it? So we will talk about that now. So I've created today's folder. Is it available? September 14th. Okay. Notes is not available. Right, let's save this real quick. 14 notes. So if you have observed yesterday, so we have saved our workbook in two ways. So can anyone say what are those two ways? How did we save the workbook? Somebody wants to answer?
That
No one.
PWB, sir. That PWB, sir.
PWB and TPW.
TWB and TWBX here. So WB is for workbook, like Excel workbook, Tableau workbook, Power BI workbooks. So something like that. And T stands for Tableau workbook. And the second is Tableau packaged workbook. So we can save it in two ways. And what is the difference? Now, if you are looking at the screen, if you're looking at the size of the workbooks, then the first one, it's very less size. But second, so the size of the workbook is much bigger. 10 times bigger? Yes, it's maybe 10, 20, 30 times bigger. So one physical difference which you can observe here is the size of the workbooks. So the differences are the size of the workbooks. And which one is smaller? TWB is smaller and TWBX is bigger in size. But why is that? And what is the actual difference? So the actual difference here is TWB file does not store data. It does not store data in it. Whereas TWBX file, it will store data. That means yesterday we connected to one Excel file, one notepad. So that data, what you have in those files, that data will be stored in this particular file. That is why the file size is much bigger. Whereas TWB file, it does not store any data. So TWB file, it will just refer to the data. TWB file just references the data. That means it will tell you where is that file available, where is that data available. But TWBX says, I will store the data with me. That is why the file size is much bigger. So let's check these things here little more deeper. So let's copy these files to our today's folder. And let's say here, where is view details? All right. Now right click on the TWB file and you can say open with Notepad. Don't open with Tableau, just try to open with Notepad. Let's see what it shows. So this is a XML file. So whatever you have, it will store in XML format. And as I was saying, it only stores the location. So where is your products.txt file? So it is referring to that path here. So it doesn't store actual data. It only stores the name of the file, the path of the file. And if you scroll down, you can see the metadata here. So metadata means just the name of the columns. So what columns you have, like profits column and the sales column. So what all columns you have, it will store here, the products column. But this file doesn't contain any data here. That is why the file size is much smaller in size. Now let's try to open TWBX, but not in Tableau. So what we will do, I will copy and take another copy of this, and I want to rename this to zip file. So ZIP. So just rename it to zip file. Let's see what it stores. So this is the original TWBX file. Now I said, all right, so just change the extension. Now you can say right click and extract here. So what you have in that TWBX, I want to see. Okay, extract here. Then let's see what it does. All right, it says there's already file open. Do you want to replace? So what we'll do, we'll say no, and we'll keep it in different folder like test, and let's take this zip file inside that folder. So let's go inside it. This is still TWBX, which I renamed to zip file. Then let's say extract here. Then what you are seeing is two things. TWBX file contains TWB, the copy of the TWB, and the data here. So go to the data folder, then you will see like what is that actual data available. It is stored in that folder. So this is the products file, and okay, I went back, and if you see here, this is the XLS file. So TWBX file stores your actual data. That is why the file size is much bigger in size. Okay, that's the actual difference. Now you got some idea about what is TWB and what is TWBX. So it doesn't store data, it just references the data. TWB file stores the data. So what is the proof? So just change the extension from TWBX to zip file, then unzip, then you should see, then we should see TWB file plus the data folder. So this folder contains the actual files. This is the actual difference. Now we will get another question. Now in which way I should save the file? So now I'm a Tableau developer. Now how should I save the file? Two ways out there. Now there is a confusion for me, and how should I save the file? Right? How should we save the file? Now it depends on the scenarios. That means it depends on the conditions. Now let's say we are working in an office. Now we will have only one data source or one database. So it will be stored in one machine. It will be stored in one central machine or central repository. Now you have like 3 or 4 Tableau developers, or 10 or 100 developers, doesn't matter. Now all developers can access the database machine. Because you are in office, then you can definitely access your database machine. There is no problem. That means the point here is, if all developers or users have access to database, then save it as TWB, because you don't have to store the data in your local file, as everyone can access this database. Now on the other hand, so we are working for, let's say, the sales department. Now, your finance department wanted to see the report, and this finance department does not have access to your database because it is a different department. Like, why should we provide access to everyone in the company? We will not provide. Now what you have to do is, you have to save the file. Now save the file as TWBX format, because the finance department cannot access the database. That means now it's very simple single point. If the other users doesn't have access to data, then save it as TWPX. So it is your job to send the report plus the data. But if the other people have access to database, then no need to send in TWPX format. Just to send in TWP, then they can open the file and see your reports. Okay? And most of the cases, how do we do it in the companies? So we will save it as TWPX formats only. Majority of the cases. Most of the times we will just save it as TWPX formats because I want to save data as well. But sometimes, yes, very less cases where you can save it as TWP also. But this is the difference: when to use, what to use, how to save, and what it stores. This is the background information. Right. That's the first one for today, the yesterday's open question. Right. And remember these terminologies, because by end of the course you should find maybe 11 12 extensions here, but this is the first extension. Now, yesterday we also tried to understand that there are two types of connections. So how many types of connections? Two. Now what are they? Does anyone remember?
Live connection and extract connection.
Very good. So it is live and extract. Okay. Now which is a default? Live is the default. So live connection is the default connection in Tableau. Okay, can we try to understand what is that? I mean, what happens in Tableau? When should I go for live? When should I go for extract? Okay, we have to know, definitely. Now, when I say here, we are watching live movie or live cricket match, what does that mean? So there's something happening outside of your television set. So it is not available in your television set. So somewhere something is happening, and that data is transferred from that place to your house, to your TV. So somebody is working in the background, isn't it? So many people, so many teams, so many technologies. So they are trying to get you the same data, whether it can be audio, video, text, anything. So that has to be transferred from that place to your place. Now, just one thing to keep in mind. So when we say we are watching live, means you don't have the actual data in your device. For example, I'm watching a live movie, maybe the jailer movie. That means I don't have the movie stored in my TV. It is not there. I'm just playing it. It is somewhere and I'm just playing it. That means the physical copy of the movie is not available in my device. That's true. Now, whereas the other hand, if you are saying extract, means take the copy of the original data. So now I'm using a CD or a pen drive. So I'm copying the movie from that computer, coming to my computer and plugging my pen drive. Now I'm playing that in my movie. That means what you are doing, you are taking a copy of the original file and then you are playing it in your system. So that means you are extracting the data. Extracting means it is nothing but pull the data or take a copy of the data. So I'll say pull the data. Extraction is nothing but pulling the data. Now the same thing happens for your data as well. So we always think data is just the database, the tables, rows and columns. Now data can be anything like three types: structured, semi-structured, and unstructured. Structured is like table formats, semi-structured like your XML formats, unstructured like your audio files, video files, like Facebooks, Twitters, your websites. It's all unstructured. So that doesn't have any structure. But everything is a data only. Now we know that live means we don't have data in my system. It is somewhere and I'm just trying to see that data from my device. Extract means I'm trying to pull something from the original location to my device, to my PC. That means you are taking a copy of data to your device. Okay, now let's translate this to the database's point of view. So let's go to some paint here. Let's try to analyze it something like this. So this is my database here. All right, it is very small. I'll increase the font size. This is my database. Okay, just give me a second. Got stuck. Okay, and this is the database here. And this is my Tableau desktop. My Tableau desktop. So yesterday we connected your notepads, Excel files through live connection, isn't it? That's what the default connection is. Now the live connection means there is a connectivity between the file, between the data to your Tableau desktop. So the default connection which we used yesterday is a live connection. So live connection means you are not going to get or store the complete data into your Tableau desktop. No, that's not going to happen. So data is somewhere. I'm trying to access it and display that data in my television here. So in my desktop here. Okay. And if you lost the connection, then you don't see that data at all because you are just trying to access or just the connectivity between these two things. Okay, now you can assume that. So in real time what happens is, so you will be working in your company. Maybe you are in Hyderabad location or Bangalore location or anywhere, and you will be working for a client, and that client is an US client, European client, UK client. So where do they have the databases? In their own countries, isn't it? So now you can assume that, all right, so this database is in US or it is in UK or it is in Canada or it is in Australia. It can be in any different place. Now database is in one location, Tableau desktop is in another location. Can you connect it? Yes, we can definitely connect it. Just use live connection. You can get the data from these databases. You can access it from your local machines. So you can do that. So this is one scenario or just one case. What is a live connection? Now, the second part or the second type of connection is extract. Extract means, yes, I have to get the data and store the data in my local computer. But why do you need that? Okay, why do you need that? So maybe some simple example here. Now let's say here, I'll take the same copy and just place it here. Okay, so this time it is not live connection. I'll tell you the scenario, then we'll decide like how you can work with it. Now this is a database again. It's in different countries, and this database contains like 15 years of data. Is the size of the database. It's in terabytes or petabytes. So many records. So I'll say here 15 years of data means, let's say it is of 50 GB of data. 50 GB of data. Now, what is the company's requirement is you have to work with only previous year data, and you have to build some reports. Now, this database contains 15 years of data. Now I want to work with only previous year data, means 2022 data. We have to get it here. So work with this. Work with this. This is my job. So I have some requirements. I need to build some reports for previous year. Then, so we can just think of when I connect to live connection, automatically your Tableau desktop will be able to pull all 15 years of data into your desktop. Okay. Now, where is the DB? In another country. Now, how much data are you getting from this machine? 15 years of data. But do you really need that much of years of data? No, I don't know. I don't need that. I just need 1 year of data. Okay. Now, what we can do is, instead of getting the complete data from this database, now can I pull, that means can I just extract only what is required for me, like this is like last year data. Now I want to take a copy of this and I want to take it to my local machine. Now in that case, what is the advantage? You don't have to connect to this database where you have got so many years of data, and the performance is also very high when you are talking to data and then searching for something and then generating reports. So it takes a lot of time, because whatever you build the report, every time it has to come to data, then it has to ask, okay, filter only 2022 data, then add the data, then again you have to send that information back to Tableau desktop. So why to use that unnecessary routing between these two computers? So what we will do, I need just 1 year of data. So I am going to pull the data now. So I am going to extract what I need from this original database, take a copy of it, place it in my local computer, then I can just work with this data. So that's very easy thing, isn't it? So in that way, the advantage is, even though you don't have the active connection, so let's say you lost connection to the DB for some reason, still I can work in my local machine because I have data in my local computer. So I can easily work with what I have. And when connection is back, then I can again integrate these two things, or I can link these two things again. So I can do that activity. Okay, so this is what we call it as extraction or extract connection. Extract connection. Now we should get one question. How do I know which connection should I use? I'm new to project. Now I don't know like which connection I have to use. Yes, that's a very good question. Then you have to ask yourself some questions like, am I going to work with current data or the live data, or am I going to work with previous data or historical data or old data? Just ask that question. Is this project what I'm working? Am I building reports for previous years data or completed years, or the current years? So if it is current year, then you have to go for live connection, because it is happening there. I have to see that right away in Tableau. But if you are working with historical data, like old data, then it's always preferable to go for extract, pull the data, get that data, store it in your machine, and then work with it. Okay, so that's one point we have to question ourselves. Now, there's one common interview question. So, what are the differences between live and extract? One common question, guaranteed question. So let's take a look at the differences between both of them and also when to use, which one to use. So the first point here is you can access. So you can access the data in online only. That means the database should be up and running, then only I can connect to that database or data source. But in extract connection, you can work in offline mode also. Why? Because your data is stored in your local computer. You don't need connectivity to your original data source. Biggest advantage. Then, then come to the second. In live connection, as I said, there is no data downloaded in your local computers. Now we are just trying to access it. That's it. But whereas in extract, extract itself says pull the data, then data is downloaded to our local computers. And then the third one I'll show you like how to get the updated information in live and how to get updated information in extract. So I will show you that in Tableau. And next one is performance related. So where is performance high according to you in live or extract? It should be low in live because there are many things in between. So what are they? Like the internet connection, like how much speed is your internet connection and how much data transfer I can do per second. That again depends, and again depends on the computer speed, the RAM speeds, how much data I can send, how much data you can receive, and what are the internet speed, the network speed, the VPN connections. There are so many things in between. So data has to transfer from that place to your place. So that's why the performance is little slow. Or I will say it will be slow if your data is huge. Whereas in extract, performance is high. But why? Because Tableau desktop and the data are in the same computer. So this is my PC. Now this is my Tableau desktop. Because I'm pulling the data, so that data is also available in my same computer. So now there's no need of network, there's no need of internet, everything is gone, just the local machine computer. That's why performance is high. Very important certification question. So which connection has a better performance? And the reasons also you can expect. So one question is guaranteed in the certification in live connection and extract connection. Okay, so I've put all the points here. Now when to use which one? Use live connection when data is changing more frequently. Examples, your stock markets, like it changes every second, isn't it? So examples, you can put so many examples. Your stock markets and the way data is changing continuously. Your hospitals, like how many beds there are vacant, how many oxygen cylinders you have, how many doctors you have at that point, because patient is coming to admit in your hospital. So you have to tell whether you have beds or not. So you need real-time data there. It's not the old data. So in that case, again you have to use your hospital, sorry, your live connections. And wherever there is the transportations, that means recent example. So if you have launched any rocket, any missile, so you have to watch it on your screen. So it takes your latitude, longitude positions, and then it transmits the data immediately. And I want to see that right away. So that means you need to go for the live connections. So all your airline industries, your road networks, rail networks, and your trucks, everything uses the again live connections. And most of the times in Dubai based, so they take the seas and they get the oils. So there also they use the live connection, because the depth you go navigate through the sea, then you want to get information right away, like what is your depth, how much oxygen you have, how much, what you have in your container. So that should be live. Right? So many things. And in US, yes, this is also the very popular industry where it uses live connections, like how much stock I have, how much I have to order. So everything is live. So in US, there are two industries. One is this, and another one is the um, it's a very big business, and you have got so much of revenue getting generated from these two. Sounds interesting, but yes, this is true, that you have so many openings in those companies and so much of work, so much of revenue, so much of budgets in these two things there. And when you have to go for historical, that means when I'm working with completed data, so nobody needs that data, then of course you can always pull the data, then perform your analysis. Right? That's the only thing. Or in other terms, where data is not changing, not at all changing or not changing frequently, then go for extract connections. Which one do you work in your companies? Majority of the cases you work with live connections. And if it is hitting performance, then we say to client, all right, it's hitting performance, then please convert it to extract. Then yeah, you do some steps, then you extract the data. And last thing, this is a symbol in Tableau, and this is the symbol in Tableau. For live, this is a symbol. For extract, this is the symbol. Now let's go back and let's look at the third point. What is the difference in live and extract? If I change the data, like how do I get that data? So let's take a look. All right, let's go to Tableau, and we will use same file even today. Where is the products.txt? I'll use it today as well, and keep that file open. You can see what you have. And how do you connect to Notepad? You can use text here, but the other way I can use is just drag and drop that file. That is also fine. That means take this products.txt, just release it in Tableau, then it should connect to that file. So it's the shortcut. So wait for it. It will read the data. Now the connection is live. And remember, in this case, the notepad is in my same computer. Tableau is also on the same computer. All right. Now let's go to sheet 1. And let's keep it side by side now. This is my data source and this is my Tableau. Did I get complete data into Tableau? How do I check? Just click on this button, then you look at what you got there. All right, so 3 records, 3 records. Good. Now there's a change in data. Right, so data got changed. Now let's say somebody purchased some new TV. Now 8,000 became 10,000. So data is changing frequently. Now, does it change automatically in Tableau? Let's see. It is still okay. Where is television? I change it to which one? Profits. So this profits, you can see it is still 8,000. Okay, it did not change, isn't it? It doesn't change automatically in Tableau desktop. Now, what I have to do? I have to see the updated data. Then what I have to do? Very simple. So you come here, right click on this. There is an option here, refresh. So when you click refresh here, what happens is Tableau will ask the data source. Hey data source, do you have any changes, any new records, any updates? Then please send it to me. Now let's click refresh. Wait for a second. Now again go back to your data. Now you can see profits got updated to 10,000. Now let's say we add one more record here. Now let's say we added here pen drive and I got like 2000 sales and the profit is 200. Say, now do I see that again automatically? No, you will not see. So if you want to see your updated data, then you just have to do refresh and go back here again. Now you can see that the new record, whatever is available, it is available in Tableau. See the same thing what you do in the browsers when your results are announced. So what you do here, you come here and you keep on refreshing this page, isn't it? Okay, where did that go? Got it. So if you are visiting any website, let's say some school website, okay. So if you are checking your results, then so you go to that page and you keep on refreshing here, isn't it? Refresh, refresh, refresh. Did they announce the result? Did I passed here? So you keep on refreshing. That means your browser is talking to your web server and it's giving you the data. Same thing in Tableau also. If you want to get the updated information, then you have to just refresh the data source. Now all changes made, additions, modifications, your updates, deletes will be captured based on this refresh action. Okay, that's one point. So what I'm trying to tell you is this point here. So right click on the data source and do the refresh, then you get the updated information. Now let's pull some data into Tableau desktop using extract connection. So let's pull some data here. So what we'll do now, this is my desktop. Now we have got one Excel file, isn't it? Your Superstore Excel file, we got it. Maybe here somewhere. Okay, this is my Excel. So this Excel file contains 4 years of data. Now let's see how many years and what are those years. Now you have to assume that this is in a separate database outside of your computer. Now we have to pull only the required data. Now let's go to orders and let's apply the filter. Let's go to order, not order ID, order date. So you can see that we have got like 4 years of data. Now I want to work only with 2019. So the assumption here is this Excel or this data is available in a different computer or different country. Okay, I have to mute somebody here. Kumar, I have to mute, please. Okay. Now, how do I pull only the required data to my desktop, to my local computer? All right, first connect to that data. Now I'm trying to connect now. That's the Excel file. So connect to that Excel file. So today I'm using Excel. Maybe very soon I'll use the database. But everything is the same. Now which data, which table you want to check, you want to analyze, just drag and drop it. Now this time I don't want to use live connection. I want to pull the data to my local machine. So click on extract. Okay. Now extract is of two types here. Do you want to get full data, 4 years of data? Then just go to sheet 1. No, I want to get partial data. That is my requirement. Then click on edit here. Click on edit and you will get one window. So there is an option called as filter. Now let's click on add. Now these are all the columns which you have in Excel. Now which column you want to filter? Like the date column. So let's figure out the date column. Say OK. So you'll get this window. So don't worry about all these steps because we have to learn these steps again in detail, but just watch the screen. So it is asking you want to filter based on years. Yes, that's true. So I'll say next. All right. Now which year you want to put? So you can select any year which you want. So I'm not using the same file. That's why you see difference in the years. Let's say I want to pull last year data. I want to get 2022 data. Say OK. It says I'm going to pull 2022 data. Then let's say OK here. We'll again come back to the screen, but right now just I selected the filter. Say OK. Then you don't find anything here. Then click on sheet 1. Now it will prompt you with this window, which you did not get in live because you are not downloading the data anywhere. But in extract, I am pulling the data and it is asking now, where should I save the file? Where should I save the data? Okay, I will say save in my local machine. Observe the format here. So the format here is Tableau data extract TDE, and the format it is showing here is hyper. Right. So I'll tell you they were like previous old versions, very old. Tableau version 8, you had TDE. I'll show you that as well. But the format it is now saving from Tableau version 10 onwards. It is dot hyper. It's much more compressed version. Now let's save this file. Now what data did you pull? Only 2022 data. 2022 underscore data. File extension is hyper. Just say save. Wait for it. Now you can see that it is pulling the data from that Excel file to your local machine. And see the icon here. So the icon is very different and it is telling you clearly there are like two databases and it's trying to pull the data. So that icon is this icon. I'm trying to pull data from this database to this database. That is what it is trying to do. Now what we did, we extracted the data. That's how we will perform it. Now let's use the same file, or let's create another file and we'll see how to get updated information. Alright, so one more example. So let's create a small notepad. Here we will say customer, then sales. Customer A 1000, customer B 2000, customer C 3000. This is my data source. So you can assume that this is my data source, a very big data source. Of course, it's very small. Now let's say this is like customer and sales. Now connect to this data set through extract connection. Okay, let's try that. So I'll say text file, and we have to give the path here. Let's give the path customer sales, but this time I want to go for extract. So there are only three records, so I'll say extract everything, whatever you have. So pull everything to my local machine. So I did not go for edit because get complete data. Okay, let's go to sheet 1. Again, it is asking customer sales. Yes, complete information. Now save it. Now again, you will see extract icon here. Now let's check what data did I get. Same three records, same three records. Now let's change something here. So there was a new customer. So let's say customer D and then 4,000. Save. How do I see updated information in Tableau? Now right click. Now refresh. That's what I know. Now let's click on table again. See, did that pull this record? No. Did we miss something? Refresh again and see the table. It doesn't pull this record. Okay, what it is doing then? So refresh means this Tableau, now you have an intermediate file here, isn't it? So there is one file which you saved. It is talking to that file which you extracted. So in between you have some file. So you saved one file to your local machine. So it is talking to that file. So this file it is talking to, not the original file. That's why you didn't get the data. What should I do now if I want to get the original data here? Okay, so let's place that file where you have here. So I'll place that file in between. Okay, so where is that file here? So we took the extract, isn't it? Come on. Customer sales dot hyper. So this data is now extracted to this file. Now you said refresh. Now this is hitting to this file, but data is changed in Notepad. Now what I have to do is I have to send this record to this file so that this file will show that data here. So what you have to do from Tableau is you have to right click and don't go for refresh, then go to extract refresh, because I have extracted the data. Now if I say extract refresh, now you will get one warning message. Read this message. I'll show you what happens in the background. Entire contents of the extract will be replaced. Means what? It is going to delete the contents of this file, and I am going to get everything again from here, and I will place it here. Is it okay for you? That is fine. Do it, no problem. So what it is doing, it is giving you warning saying that I am going to delete the contents of this file, then replace it with all the records one more time. Okay, do it, no problem. And let's see again. So it's very quick. Now let's go back here and let's check now. So now you get that record, isn't it? So for extract, there is one additional step what you have to do. It is not just refresh. This works for live but not extract. But for extract, you have to come here, refresh. Now let's say this is 5. I've modified the data. Again, you have to do the same thing, extract, refresh. Again, it will give you a warning saying that I'm going to delete contents of this file. Is that okay? So it will ask you every time. Now say yes. Now what happens? Deletes the data from this file, copies the data from here into here, and it comes here. Now let's go back here. You will see the updated information. Do you see any disadvantage with this approach? Anyone? I'll tell you the disadvantage here. Now let's assume that you have got 10 lakh records. This is my original data source. I have got 10 lakh records, maybe of 10 GB or 2 GB or 1 GB, any file size. So we can assume that it is 1 GB of data. Now what happened here is one record got added. One record added. For 10 lakhs, now it became 10 lakhs one record. So I said refresh here. Now I said here extract refresh. Then what happens? So this file contains 10 lakh records. It has to delete all 10 lakh records. Okay, it takes time, isn't it? And then copy 10 lakhs one record into this file. Then it has to send that information to here. To delete 10 lakh records, it takes like 15-20 minutes or half an hour. Yes, let's say we have 50 lakh records. Just 10 records got updated. Now if you say refresh here, if you say refresh, it takes like 3 hours to see your data again. Now this happened in some companies as well. So they were using extract refresh and they used to keep at night, and when they come back in the morning they used to get the data. That is the wrong approach. Why do you want to refresh complete data set for just few records? Now there is another way we can solve this problem. Now if you have 50 lakh records, if you just have one record, can't you take just one record to this file? So you have to just add that record to this file, then it will be added here. Yes, we will do that as well, and we have to do that. So this refresh, what you are trying to do here is a full refresh, and you have to get only one record without disturbing the existing one. We call it as incremental refresh. Okay, there are two types, but we'll talk more about it. We'll see that practically when we start the Tableau server concepts. Okay, but for now just understand how do I get updated data from live and how do I get updated data from extract. Only that part is needed for us. Now for live, just refresh. For extract, you have to come to extract and then refresh. Okay, and for extracts you will have the intermediate file which is stored in your local computers. Now this is what happens. Now just a diagrammatical representation. So what happens in extract, so I'll just put that here. So now you know that it is extract, but what happens in the background? So let's see that very quickly. So this is extract, so I'll put that here. So this is my database, my original database. Now let's assume that this has got 1 GB of data. This is my Tableau desktop. This is in my location. So I'm working from home. Desktop is in my local place. Now I said extract. So now the connection, what I'm trying to make here, so I'm going to ask this data source, please give me some data. So what data we are asking? Extract connection. Then what it will do, or what Tableau desktop will do. So you are taking, or you have asked for extract connection, let's say at 9 a.m. Okay, you have asked at 9 a.m. Please give me extract, or please pull the data here. Now, now at 9 o'clock, how many records you have? Now it will take a snapshot. A snapshot. That means it will take a pic. How many people will be there at that time? So you will capture those many people. So it will take a snapshot. Means how many records you have at that time. I am going to take a picture of those many records. So it will take 1 GB of data. Then it will be sent. This picture will be sent to Tableau data engine. It will be there in your local computers. Once you install Tableau, then you will have this engine running in the background. It will take a picture and then it will send the picture to Tableau data engine. Now this engine, what it will do is it is going to convert the data, it is going to convert the snapshot into one file. So it is now going to store the data in the files. So in which format? In two formats. So nowadays it is only hyper format, but in old versions it was TDE. It's like a Tableau data extract. This was only there below Tableau 10 version. Means in 2014, 15 at that time only you had this option to see. But right now you can only see the file will get stored only in hyper format. Now that engine is responsible to get the data, to convert the data, and it will store the data in this, and finally you will have that file in Tableau or in your local machine. Now desktop will only talk to that hyper file. So these things happens when you perform extract connection. So one interview question here, very important, compulsory question. Now the question here is just so if the file size, or if the data size, if the data size is of 1 GB, what will be the size of dot hyper format? Valid question. So if it is 1 GB, now what will be the size of the hyper format? So it will be between 3 to 12% of the original file size. That means here we can expect here. So if I say 10%, so if I say 10%, it will be just 100 MB file. Now 1 GB of data. Now you will have that 1 GB of data in 100 MB file. What it is going to do internally, it is going to your Tableau data engine. Tableau data engine is going to compress the data. Compress the data in columnar fashion. Means what? Rows will get converted into columns internally so that it can compress the data much better. So that's why the file size will be very small. That is why the file size is shorter, or file size is small. Let's put that here. Uses compression technique called as columnar storage. So where it converts rows into columns. So this is the background, what happens when you take an extract. Okay, so small things, but very useful to understand when you work with improving the performance of a system. Then you need to know what happens in the background. This is all happens. These many things will happen. Okay, now a lot of information. So you can again go back here. So today we discussed only two things: types of connections, live and extract, and the differences between live and extract, when to use live, when to use extract, and what happens in the extract, what is the flow which happens here, and what are the differences between TWB and TWBX formats. Okay, now I'll take a pause to see if you have any questions. Okay, no questions, then that is fine. But go back, you will have one or two interview questions guaranteed from this area. So mostly on the differences part, mostly on what happens in the extract, the file sizes, and the hyper formats, and when to use which connection. So with that said here, so we'll go back to Tableau, and we have to start building our reports, isn't it? But that's just the background here. All right, now we'll build maybe one or two reports for today. Otherwise, we'll lose the connectivity. So what I'll do now here is I want to use sample superstore data. You have got so many columns. These are dimensions. These are measures. So let's create some reports here, and we'll stop it here for today. So the first report is built here. Can you show me like your region wise? What I would look at here by looking at the question, how many dimensions, how many measures I have to use. Dimension means these things, measures means these things. Are they straightforward? Region, okay, I have to search now, isn't it? So there are so many fields you have to search. Of course, you can get it easily, but what I'll do here is I'll use this search bar, then just say region, then I can just drag and drop it. So you can drag and drop it anywhere you want. There is no problem. So I'll put it in the column shelf. Now I want to drag sales. Now let's drag sales. You can put it in the rows. Okay. Now turn on the labels. Okay. And then do you want to sort it? Ascending, descending. You can do it. Ascending, descending. And can we just increase the report size here because there is an empty space? You can use here entire view, but if you say that it shows like this, no, I don't want to show like this. I want to go back to standard and just increase this little bit, maybe till here I want to show. Then there are some shortcuts here. So go to format, cell size, then you see the shortcuts here: wider, control right, narrow, control left. So I'll use control right now. So use control right arrow on your keyboard See what happens. See, I can just move it a little bit where I want to. But if you say entire view, it will fill complete area. So that's not what I want. So I want to use control left arrow to squeeze, control right arrow adjust. Okay, this is looking good. Now I want to color it. Then what you have to do, take the same dimension, put it into the colors. So report is always colorful, isn't it? Which is good. Now let's do some formatting here. See what you are showing, sales information, and this is related to US country. So I want to show dollar symbol to each number, and I want to show this in little bold formats and remove these background lines. Let's make the report clean here. Okay, first thing, let's remove these lines. So right click on this, go to format option, then you get this window. Now it is something related to the lines. So click on lines and you have here grid lines. So grid lines, of course it is none, but if you select any option, this will become bold. Now I'll say none again. So this becomes bold, means this setting is applied. Now the background lines are gone. That's good. Now you can close it. Now make these little bold, west, central, east, like that. So you can right click on that. You can use format. So anything, it's all related to format. Now one point to observe, you will get two tabs here. Okay. So whenever you see the textual information, that's the header. So this is a dimension. Dimension means textual information. Text means it is the header. If you have numbers like this, that means it is nothing but the axis here. This is called as axis because it starts from 0, it keeps on going. So this is a header, sorry, this is a axis, this is a pane, and this is the header. So just remember the terminology. These are headers, these are axes. Dimension means headers, measures means axis. Alright, now I want to format the headers. So go here, make sure that you apply bold, you increase the font to whatever you want. Now that's done. Okay, now I want to make this bold as well. So you can do right click again and say format. Now you see, now it changes to axis here. So if it is a measure, green color, then it is axis. If it is a dimension, then if you right click on that and format, then it shows as header. Okay, so pane here means this area. So the report area, we call it as pane. Now I want to format this. So right click, format, that's the axis. Now I want to make it bold, increase the font, that's it. This is also done. Now I want to make these numbers little bold with dollar symbol. Okay, now you can right click on this, go to format option, go to pane because this is a pane area, this is a working area. Now under this pane you see numbers. You see numbers, so click on it. Now let's go to standard, custom. Yes, I want to use custom. Then units. If you want to apply any thousands, you can apply. You can see K. And then let's go to currency. And this is related to United States. Select that country. Then you will see dollar symbol. Now, if you want to make it little bold, increase the fonts. Okay. Kumar, can you please note? Okay, thank you. I did mute. Alright, so this is my first report here. Region wise sales with clean formatting. Now if customer want to see, then this is how it looks for him. Okay, it's good. Any questions?
Hi, Pradeep.
Hello?
So I have a question. So is this snapshot taking full or incremental? Is it full every time or is it incremental? Like, do we have an option to do that?
Yes, yes, you will
Oh,
definitely have to use those options,
okay.
and we have to select which option we want.
So
But
it's by
if you
default full.
correct, so
Okay.
here by default it doesn't show both options here, isn't it? It
Yeah.
doesn't even show. But I will just select one more setting, then then you will come here, then you will find full refresh or increment refresh. So it will ask you which one do you want to perform.
Okay.
Then I will choose okay, use incremental.
Okay.
But the default is full refresh.
Okay. So it will always append full changes to the particular hyperfile.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
If you want to try, I mean, how does incremental work? So what you can do is, so go back to extract. Now click on edit. Then there is an option here, incremental refresh.
Okay. Got
Check this option and save the file. But if you select it, you will get some more options like how should I consider that's an incremental or that's a new record is added. So we have to select which table to refresh and which column you want to use to identify that's a new record. So generally, it's the date column, so you can choose dates. Then say OK, then go back to the original screen. Now, if you refresh here, then you will find those two options.
it. Okay.
You can just give a try, see what
Sure.
happens.
Yeah.
Right? It's a good question. And let me look at the chat. I didn't go for it from a long time. It's my mistake. Okay, okay. I'll check the drive access soon. Alright, if we are extracting a year data from historical data, and if a record is added in that particular year, is there any way to automate? Absolutely, you have to do automation only. So we don't really come back doing these things manually. So we have to avoid the refreshes. So that here, I'll just put 1 point. So we'll just make a note. But that's a very good point, very good question. So the full or refreshes or incremental refreshes should be automated. Means manually, why should I do it? So I will tell to, so I will hand over this task to Tableau server to perform either of refreshes. We will not do it. So we will hand over this to Tableau server saying that, hey server, so morning 5 a.m. check for full refresh. And for other database or data source, okay, it's 6 o'clock. You check for incremental refresh, and if there are any new records, please get those records. Because my employees comes to office at 8 a.m. at 9 a.m. So before they come, so you finish these activities. So we will hand over this process to Tableau server, okay? And that should be yes automated. So that's again a very good question, and that's the answer here. All right, I'll show you that practically, like how does incremental refresh work, how does the full refresh work with examples. So we will add records, we will delete the records, we will do refresh, full refresh, increment refresh, and see what happens. Which one is faster, which one is slow. So we'll look at it.
So this topic will be covered in Tableau server.
Server, yeah. So when we hit the right topic, then I'll show you one Excel file, one notepad, or the database. So we can do it anywhere.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, sure. Okay, that's just one report which we built. And can you try this for me? So this is a small task for you. Now figure out category wise average profits. Just build this report. Maybe for your practice, just drag and drop. But what I'm asking, just focus it. I want to see average profits. First one is the sum here, but second report I wanted to see average profits. All right, so just give it a try. Otherwise, tomorrow first thing we will look at open questions or any questions which you come across, or if you want to see incremental full refresh, okay, I'll show it to you tomorrow itself. No problems. Okay, so I'll stop it here for today. And today is day September 14th. Okay, and I'll save it as TWBX and TWB also. Try to open TWB, see what happens in your machines. You should get error message. If you open TWB, is day 3, September 14th. If you open TWB exe file, you should not get any error. But if you open TWB, then you should get error saying that I cannot access the files which are on my computer. So your computer is trying to talk to my computer, then it fails. Then when you open this TWB file, then you should get an error. Okay, so definitely give a try. Open these TWB files from your computers, and you should see